a lot of people around me and my seniors are competing and worried about having a job. But to me, having a job and having a boss at this age, or having someone to ask for permissions to take a leave or not, it's a very bizarre idea. So, what should a student or a young apprentice go towards creating his or her own independence from this job culture or work culture? Thank you.
Um, hey Kapil. Um, I just wanted to come here and say thank you. Really, I've been meaning to actually write to you saying thank you. After reading your books and watching several videos, my mind has quite literally transformed, and I could confidently say that I am much much better for it. And basically, this whole the last 3 weeks, my mind has been much much more quiet than ever before, really. And really, it's all thanks to reading your work. And I just wanted to say thank you. I don't know if I have any questions. I've just been really hesitant to even write to you. I don't quite know why. I feel like I'm lying. I do know why. I thought of writing to you several times. S- it's not only to say thank you, but ask you a question, I guess, too. But I, I, I I don't know. It just, part of me feels like I'm not ready. So I guess that's why I haven't. But for now, I just want to say thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Dr. Gupta. I have never been less concerned with my behavior, my methods than I am now. But the greatest fear I have is that I will miss something that pertains to what I have left behind in pursuit of what I want. And I'm wondering how the person with great ambition ensures, makes certain that they do not discount things, even if they do not know whether they are useful. Thank you.
Much too involved of a question for just to give some kind of response in this kind of forum. Requires a lot more detail.
May I refine the
Hi, Kapil. My question is that uh, society, normal people, everyday people are conditioned to believe that uh, by having a job, there is a prize at the end of the journey. That if one spends the rest of his life having a job, having a salary, then at the end of it, the journey, there is some special magical potion that will satisfy all of the thirst that a man has. Um, why does no one ever talks about the actual truth that this is nothing having a salary would never
Well, no
have a
one
question.
no one talks about truth at all. So
What's the relationship between consciousness and intelligence?
Hello. Hello, Kapil. My question is it a fair statement to say that the only reason myself and basically everyone else haven't gotten to a place of peace is because on some level we're comfortable with not having it?
Namaste, Kapil. Um, Thank you so much for the work you do and also the spaces that you host here. Um, I, I have been asking myself a question for several years that haven't gotten any truth behind it, and it's about sleep. And I somehow thought there is something related to the mind. Um, so I've always from childhood tended to be sleeping really long hours, and I felt that initially, maybe.
Hello, Kapil. It has taken me 3 years of studies to muster the bravery of asking this question. And because I understand that I might not be this human, I need to ask you, just in the slight chance that I might be, which is, what do I need to understand in order to become, or in order to be the giver of dignity and light?
Hello, Kapil. Good evening. So, I've been trying to find uh, a nice way to formulate this question for so long, but it seems like I can't find the exact words to express. So, I will try to um, express my feelings around what I've observed in the last few years. So, I'm in the trading business. So basically, my art is around finding, um, not really finding, but anticipating what's going to happen in the financial markets. And I've observed in the last, I would say, 2 years that when I try to when I try to forcefully find a way to determine what's going to be happening in the future, this almost always fails. But there are times, and this is starting to happen a lot more times lately, when I'm just like completely absent, and I don't really think about what I'm gonna do, and there's like this force inside, not force, but there's something that's not really me that's taking a decision. And it seems
So
like
what's your question?
I would say that my question is, what is this? Why is it that sometimes this absence is quote unquote present, and sometimes that's really not here? So there's like interference.
That's a prescriptive question
Okay.
because it's asking. I could say X, and you can say, then you're going to say, okay, well, I'll practice more of that. It doesn't go anywhere. How long have you been doing what you do?
It's been quite a while. It's been like 5 years now.
Okay, and have you succeeded at what you do?
Yeah. I would say that I'm I'm pretty good at what I do.
How good? How good are you at what you
I'm
do?
I'm currently competing in the world championship, and I'm first position. So
The world championship of what?
trading.
Well, what does that mean? That you're in the
That
world championship of trading. What does that mean?
there's it's like competition between traders
So when
that
you
takes.
so when you trade, that's your business, right?
Yeah,
That's how you make a living, right?
yeah,
So if you make a living as a painter, then how good you are depends upon the quality of paintings that you make. If you make your living as a um, you know any kind of art, it there's a there isn't like the person himself, like there's a metric that one can judge. And in art, that metric is usually oneself. One knows the quality of what one does without lying to himself. But when one trades, then would you say the metric is money? 'Cause it seems like the most money related profession is investing and trading. So is it the is the would you say that the metric and the judge of success is in that particular profession, it's money. It's that's all it is. Is that correct? As a soccer
I,
player, it's goals. As a basketball player, it's points. As a car manufacturer, it's number and quality of cars. As a painter, it's the quality of paintings. In investing and trading, it's money. It's how successful are you at doing that, and the more successful you are, it's a pretty hard line, black and white metric of money. Is that correct?
yeah,
Okay. So, uh, have you made a lot of money? Since that's your metric in the field that you have chosen, have you made a lot of money?
yeah,
Okay.
but
So, go ahead.
uh, okay, it's quite difficult here because even if I do make a lot of money, I would say that I'm I'm finding a lot of satisfaction, and I feel that my life is, I don't want to say complete, but
And that's
I,
fine. That's fine. I
yeah,
mean, what
yeah,
you could get satisfaction from pulling weeds. That's fine. I mean,
yeah,
satisfaction is fine. That's an internal metric for for what one does, and that is perfectly acceptable. There is an extrinsic metric, and what I find is that most people who call themselves X or Y or a painter or a whatever or a trader, investor, or um, whatever it is, um, they're not really good at it. And I think people are generally frauds. I don't trust them. Very few people are very good at what they do. So, I mean, the fact that you get satisfaction out of it, I appreciate that and I respect that because satisfaction from what you do is absolutely, that's gold. Okay. And it doesn't, and neither does it mean that you have to be successful as on an external metric. It doesn't mean that either. And that's fine. Whatever a human being is satisfied by, and I don't care if you make $1, that's fine. If you're satisfied by it, that's fine. Um, but that type of idealism usually is for the books and the textbooks. It really isn't real life. Um, Humans really aren't that way. And frankly, if they are that way, they wouldn't usually choose investing or trading as a as a career generally. I mean, I can't speak for everybody. Nothing is absolute in that regard. But I raise suspicion and I raise caution. I raise red flags. I raise doubts. And when someone says I do it for satisfaction, I find that suspicious because that same person usually is struggling for money, and that's fine too. Like if you look into someone's heart and they're struggling for money, but they're satisfied with their life, I mean, I think that's wonderful. That's fantastic. It really is. but that creature is not really the typical situation. Um, so it's very easy to hide behind things and say I'm in trading, I don't make a lot of money, or I do make a lot of money, but in satisfaction. You may want to think about that. You may want to think about the veracity of your answer, because I could line up 100 people here who do that profession, and if I hear I like about it's about satisfaction to me, um, I don't think that's the whole answer. And rarely do humans give the whole answer, and rarely are humans truly exceptional at what they do.
How did you start as a consultant?
About how we only give half answers. It sparked something in me. I was wondering if you would be open to just elaborating on that a little bit more. Why is it that we only give ourselves half
Well, I mean,
answers?
what's the question? I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. But why?
Well,
What's the question?
well, I listened to I purchased one of your direct podcasts about a week ago about how the mind lies. And I've listened to it quite a lot in the last week, and lots of different things.
Well, here the reason, there's a lot of posing going on in the world, right?
Right.
And so, and none of this is like, as always, nothing is wrong, but I don't like fake. Um, I don't like artificial. Like, it's nonsensical. I don't care who you are, how high you are, low you are, sideways you are. Doesn't like there's honesty and um, straightforwardness and um, this there's everything is like showmanship. I'm in the trading business, but I don't really care about money. That's BS. I mean, that's just not. You wouldn't have chosen trading then, right? Now, so like I respect the fact, like everything. If you're good at anything, there's absolutely an element of art in there. Okay, so that's it, and the better you are at it, the much more it's art than science. But there are hard, you know, you know, X's and O's. There are X's and O's, definitely. But X's and O's are nothing close to everything, because then you can just give everybody the X's and O's and they all become great. And that isn't the case. Um, so this like I'm satisfied, and even though I'm in trading, I just um, I don't like, no one gives the whole story, and they don't have to give the whole story, and I'm not asking them to give the whole story. But if I'm asked a question and I sense an incomplete answer, then all over the web, see people saying, like, I'm a what is it? You know, I'm an investor, or I'm a and they're broke. I mean, it's just nonsense. Okay.
Right. I'm
And I
sorry. I
and
think
and I have no problem. I have no problem with anyone being broke. None. I respect a person who is poor, middle class, or rich. I don't care. It's but it's everything is like, look at me, I'm something I'm not. And um so I tend to have a keen eye for those things, and people don't like to talk directly, and not that they should, not that they whatever. I'm just talking about what happens, without any kind of judgment as to they should talk directly or they shouldn't. It doesn't matter. It just they don't. Um, so if you're an investor, if you're a trader, the very, I mean, literally, no pun intended, the very currency is money. That's what it is, right?
right.
If
I
you're
agree.
a painter, the
Yes.
currency isn't money. I don't care if you don't sell a single painting for all your life. And many of the great painters, of old, did not, and they starved. And but they are works of art. And so if you're a painter, if you're a writer, your metric isn't money. And while you may want to, absolutely, just to survive, and that's great. But the field that you chose, its metric isn't money. Its metric is the purity of the art. Its metric is the quality of the art. Its metric is the magnificence of the art that is created. If it makes money, fine. If it doesn't, it's fine. But if you choose trading, if you choose investing, then you're judged by money. How good were your trades? Were you successful or not? How successful were your investments? Now you can make 100 investments and only 2 of them be successful. That's fine. That's how it usually works anyways. But you but you've made a lot of money because that's what it is. So, like, I don't, no one likes to say that because it doesn't sound nice, right? I don't like sound nice. It is what it is.
Right. And I completely agree with you on this. Sorry, I think my question, I had perceived the context a little bit differently. I agreed with you on all of that. I think if somebody's trading, that's obvious. I mean, every task has a metric and you can just benchmark it against that metric. That's fine. What I was more thinking about, what it prompted in me, I guess, was this question about like, I think I see myself sometimes only saying half the truth to myself. And why am I doing that? I guess it's the same. It just struck me as, that's a similar behavior as what I'm doing to myself. And
Well,
I
truth
guess,
is not. I mean, truth is a it's kind of like eating fire for breakfast. I mean, it's not. I'm not even going to call it a learned behavior because it never even gets learned. It's just too much. So truth is not where anyone goes because it's for various reasons. I mean, it's too direct. Um, it's too in your face. It's too hot and fiery and uh, dangerous and uncomfortable and by the way, this doesn't mean truth that you tell someone else something bad about them because you're speaking the truth. I mean, that's nonsense. That has nothing. It's between you and yourself, right? I mean, just truthful to yourself. Um, that it that's not that isn't the environment in which a human being is born, is raised, lives, functions. And so if something is not an environment in which a human being has lived their whole life, why would they tell the whole story? Why would they not lie to themselves? Um, why would they not play these games? Everyone's playing games. But why would they not play those games when that's all you've ever known? And everyone that you know, that's all they've ever known. You've never seen anything else.
yeah. And, I listen a lot to not just the things that you've said, but also things like the Tao and how there's this, you to create the environment to immerse yourself or I guess cultivate more opportunity to be exposed to the truth so that you can, you know, um, it's not even a comfort thing. I guess it's just like change your environment with therefore
It's
opening
all
the
about exposure. It's all about
right.
exposure, right? What you
And
expose yourself most to, that's what gets into you.
I find myself when I do that, I like over the years, I have been able to do that like a little bit more. But then I hit this like point of almost feeling sick, like physically sick, when I think about, I'm going to listen to something else, or I'm going to read that thing again, or I'm going to sit here and tell myself that truth that I know about myself. I find this like sense of like almost feeling physically ill at the thought of doing that. And I guess I just wondered if like that's something that you could speak to, or if that's something that you've experienced as well. Like, is this, I mean, I don't know. It's difficult for me to articulate the question because it's like a physical feeling that I'm trying to describe.
I don't really have much more to say.
The last questioner
you were saying about exposure. I wanted to ask you, uh, lately, as I've been exposed to your work, my life changed drastically, and I find myself living in such state that I never want to go back. And I want to ask you, uh, but still, I listen to other people's just like as entertainment, like other gurus in the quotes. And will I will be okay in this state, or going back to society, even remembering your work as a bedrock of truth, will I be polluted? And is it possible for me to go back into this old state that I don't desire to live in anymore? I hope I.
I mean, you can. I mean, the best answer I can give you is see for yourself. Um, everything has a consequence, whether it's so-called good or so-called bad. Um, if it's it's all about the exposure. So whatever you expose yourself to is a consequence. Um, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't risk the consequence. It's up to you. So I mean, I could tell you to not listen to somebody else, or you can listen to whatever you want. Um, all I can tell you is that what you expose yourself to most is what goes inside you.
Hello, Kapil. My question is, does the existence of misery, like suffering, frustration, does that mean that someone is not on the path to truth, or must like on the correct path, or does it signify seriousness? Like, so that's my
So
question.
what if I told you that yes, it's because you don't know the truth. Um, what will you do with that information? And don't give a theoretical answer. Just be honest, because I'm not going to judge you.
Okay, okay, because I'm trying to achieve, like I'm pursuing mastery in my craft, but
Okay,
and
what's your
I want
craft?
to. Yeah, my craft is actually trading.
Okay,
So every day, so I'm trying to like the most important question in my mind, what causes me fear is that what if I'm deceiving myself? Like, what if I'm not actually on the path of truth? So like, so the question of recent in my life is this. So like, I feel because sometimes like I feel like maybe if I'm on the path of truth, maybe there will be less suffering, less mystery. Maybe I'll just. So that was what triggered me to ask that question. So,
right. And what if you're not on the path of truth?
or,
Number one,
like,
no, but what if you're not?
yeah, if I'm not on the path of truth,
What will you do then? If let's say that you're not, what would you do then?
then I'll right now then I'll probably just I'll think that probably maybe there's an unseriousness. I'm not yet ready. Then at least I feel like if I know that I'm unserious, then the only way can be to go up from there. But rather than deceiving myself and thinking that oh yeah, so I don't know if you understand.
No, I just don't know if the question is theoretical, because oftentimes a
No,
person asks a question, and then if I say X, like it just depends what's inside when someone's heart,
no, like I'm
and
not
it
trying to
just
be
depends
theoretical.
how. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be theoretical. Like what I'm really trying to ask is that sometimes when I try to like understand like the source of the mystery, source of the suffering, like I just feel as though that if I'm really serious, they're not supposed to arise. So like sometimes I'm not. So like the main issue for me now is that is does the fact that the existence of of this suffering of like when I mean suffering, I mean like the mystery, like the all these emotional problems. Doesn't mean that just because maybe it means that I'm not serious. Maybe it means I'm not on the path to like the path to truth. Or maybe it's just I don't know if you try to understand. I'm not trying to be theoretic. I'm trying to explain what I'm really going through.
So do you think you're serious about truth?
Most like there are times in my life where like before now, like a few months ago, where I thought I was actually serious. Then as time goes on, I realized lots of like my seriousness. So I think if I answer like I say yeah, I think I'm serious. I will say what I would like to answer it is like I actually want to be serious because most of the time that I've asked myself that question before in the past, then I feel like as time goes on, a lot
No,
of
and
my
that's
serious
fair.
stuff.
And that's fair. That's an honest answer. I respect that.
Yes, please.
So I think one has to gauge his own level of seriousness. And the more serious he is about truth, the more he will expose himself to truth. And it won't be because somebody said to him. I certainly won't ever tell you that. But
Yeah.
the more that someone is serious about something, then the more deeply they will want to dive into that something.
Yeah.
And so I think that there's the area of your answer is,
Okay.
you know, it's exposure, exposure, exposure.
Yeah.
Um, and when the person is serious, the more exposure that they give, but let's say about truth, then the
Mm-hmm.
more exposure they give themselves to truth because they want to, because they're serious about it. It's their priority.
Thank you for the opportunity. Uh, I realized that I grew up in an environment that has resulted in a lot of conditioning, which in turn made me take certain actions that resulted in more conditioning, a certain degree of lack of authenticity in how I interact with the society. After a lot of suffering, over the last 4 or 5 years, I have been consuming the work produced by you and a few others. Before that phase, I thought I knew what I wanted to do for a living, but after having gone all of your work and work put out by others, it has almost turned everything that I knew as upside down. I feel like I am not yet financially free. I need to do something to earn a living. But every day I wake up and go to work, I see more and more resistance within my body mind to do that job, and I have no clue as to what else I can do. And this creates a feeling of sadness about life and time running away, and I don't know what to do about it, creating a deep sense of sadness. I have sat with it to observe, and sometimes I get a fleeting glimpse that it could be my own making, but I cannot hold on to it for longer. And this deep sense of sadness makes me a little compulsive to do things that distracts me, and I have absolutely no clue how to deal with it.
Hello, thank you for bringing me up. I um I'm often, it seems for my whole life actually, I look back at maybe the things I did yesterday, the things I said to people, the things I maybe I posted it online, and I feel it doesn't belong to me. Um, and I feel it's imperfect, and I want to be perfect. So I'm just wondering if this imperfection, um, sometimes it even compels me to just completely run away. I want to change my job, leave all my friends behind, change my name, and I'm just wondering, like, where does this feeling come from, and what is pure? Where is the pure thing that, no matter what happens tomorrow, I will feel that it's pure and I won't need to run away anymore? I don't know if that's specific enough.
So all these questions are related to discovery of truth because then they become natural offspring. So these are all different manifestations of questions that arise because truth has not been um, understood. When whatever the questions are, it's uh, the truths that are directly in relation to and in the orbit of the topic that the person is asking the questions of. I mean, the answer to everything is truth. That's the answer to everything. It isn't about a fix. It isn't about a I'm, sorrowful, so how do I get rid of this sorrow? It's all those it's everything results from the absence of truth. And that's why I mean, that's why it's all there is. That's why it's the only thing that exists is the truth. Everything else is a complete lie. These are all different these are all different ways of saying that I don't have truth. And these are all and it isn't prescriptive to where, okay, well, tomorrow if you go get truth, and it's not like it's like that's shallow and superficial. It's because the human being is not on the path of truth because he hasn't because truth is not where he looks when he's looking to solve his problems, because truth is not where he looks when he gets up in the morning, because truth is not where he looks when he looks uh, through the lens of problems of his career or his life or his relationships or whatever it may be. He looks into the world. He looks into the words of so-called experts of that field. He looks into the how-tos and nonsense and the hacks and the social media influencers about their new hack and the latest book there. I mean, everyone's a clown, and they're a clown because they do clown things. They weren't born a clown. They're not a clown by nature because nature didn't make them into a clown. They're a clown because they do clown things. They listen to the clowns of the world, and the world is all a clown. So there's no I feel like saying there's no excuse, but if I say there's no excuse, then inherent and what is implicate or what is what I'm what it will feel like I am implying is that you should go for and I don't want to like no, I don't absolutely don't believe that you should. It's a personal call, like everything. So, but having said that, it's kind of like, if the house is on fire and you don't put the fire out with water or or extinguisher, then that's fine. You don't have to, but like it's not going to stop until the fire burns out and burns the house down. So it's pretty simple. It's pretty black and white. Um, so I'm not going to say you should put the fire out. No, you don't have to. It's your life. It's your house. You can do whatever you want. But basically, I don't condemn anyone for not seeking the truth. But if there's any condemnation, they should condemn themselves, right? They should condemn themselves for not putting the fire out. And even that, they don't have to condemn themselves. It's up to them. Everything is yours, up to you. I'm not here to suggest anything to you, right? It's all this nonsense. That's why you're in the problem you're in the first place, all these suggestions. and do's and don'ts and shoulds and should nots, and that's why you are where you are in the prison, all that garbage. So like everyone basically is saying, oh no, this is on fire, that's on fire, this is happening to me, that's happening to me, this is not good, that's not good. I understand. I understand. Um, but then no one is saying, not to me, but even to themselves, no one is, oh, I should really like, the truth is like what reason does someone have to complain about the fire if they're not going to devote themselves to putting it out? So there's no excuse. Now, my I have a very small footprint, right? I don't reach 400 million people. I have a very small footprint. I don't try to reach 400 million people. Um, so therefore, my voice is very small. It reaches 5 people, right? Many others have way bigger footprints than I, way bigger audiences, way bigger microphones, right? They have much more of an opportunity than I do in terms of saying what they want to say, get their message out. So the 99.9999999% of the world is never going to come to my work, not that they should, is never going to hear me speak, not that they should, not that it would do anything for them anyways. It may even hurt them. I don't know. Not going any direction of like, it's good that you should listen to my work or anything. No. I'm totally against that. But having said that, like, I have to say this again and again because it's just the truth. If you've always lived in a certain environment, if you've always heard the same thing, if you've always processed things the same way, if the procedural way of looking at things has always been the same, if the messages that you've heard has always been the same, or the format of the message has been the same, and you've never heard truth, you've never been exposed to some systematized writings or books or things that were that didn't have any angle of trying to get you to think a certain way and force you to change your beliefs and think about like have an angle, right? Everyone's got an angle, like think this way, and I feel good because I gave this guy this prescription and he did it, so I feel good about myself. Like that's all vomit to me. Like I would much rather have someone never find me than have to go through that. Like I couldn't. I just that's like the devil to me, right? No interest in like twisting anyone's arm or anything like that. And so since that person has never been even exposed to something other than prescriptions, other than how to's, methods, hacks, techniques, all this stuff, nonsense, garbage, then it's absolutely fair and reasonable and logical that, like, if you were to ask them on their dying day, in the last day of their life, hey, why didn't you ever go for truth? I said, well, what's that? I didn't know. I didn't ever come across that. And that would be a fair answer. Like, it wouldn't give them any credit because their life would still have been without truth, but that's a fair answer, right? So, like, there's the whole world, right? And then there's me talking my 5 words to 5 people in it's so, but those who have heard it doesn't mean they should imbibe it, doesn't mean that, but if they have, then at least they have an opportunity, at least they have some form of not being able to have an excuse, right? I must reiterate, doesn't mean you should. I'm not putting your pedal to the floor, but no, you like, and um, so, and it doesn't mean that you can like maybe you find truth inside yourself. Doesn't mean you have to work or I'm not the owner of anything, right? I'm just devoted. I'm just obsessed. This is for me and myself. And um so all of these almost this is like an answer to everything, right? This is like an answer to all questions in a way. It's a fundamental foundation answer is if you don't If the truth is the only thing in existence, because lies aren't in existence, lies exist in the mind of the people who've heard them and follow them, but they don't really exist because nothing functions according to the lie. Nature doesn't function according to a lie. You can trick yourself and trick your neighbor. It doesn't trick nature, right? Nature functions according to the truth. It doesn't care to buy into nonsense. It doesn't read the self-help books and spirituality and follow this garbage. It uncompromising. This is the truth. This is what I'm going to follow. That's it. Like it, don't like it, hate me, love me. What I just couldn't care less. That's nature, right? And that's reality. So if someone doesn't come towards truth, truth isn't going to come towards him. So whether someone is sorrowful or suffering or painful or in pain and disappointed or failing or whatever it is, these are all manifestations of not being on the road to truth. Now, am I going to tell you that if you go towards the road of truth, that your life is going to be great and you're going to be happy? No, I'm not going to tell you that because everyone responds differently. Some people will come to truth and they're like, this is, this is a sawed-off shotgun to my forehead. I mean, uh, I feel like I'm scared or some people have visceral reactions in the negative direction towards truth. So I ain't here to make any promises to anybody that if you do this, I just don't do that, right? You judge for everything is you, not me, it is you. So there's those are the direction of coming to equilibrium and the direction of coming to the bottom of things, getting to the bottom of things, um, getting to the real solution of things, the overcoming of, the issues that you're presenting or anybody else. It's all in the direction of the truth, right? It's all in the direction of the truth. So, but if someone is not going to seriously move in that direction, even if it's for a utilitarian manner, in fact, it is utilitarian. It shouldn't be spiritual. Spiritual has nothing to do with truth. Truth and spirituality are opposite. Spirituality never leads to truth. It just leads to more spirituality. You just get a higher level of meditation, right? It's like school. School doesn't give you anything. You go to first grade and your reward of getting a second grade. Just more of its own thing. It doesn't give you any parallel path or parallel path, sidestep into something else. So like that's where it is. That's where it's always been. I didn't invent it, but that's where it is. And I think it can also be said that humans just don't take life seriously. Like, and it's one thing not to take everything, like everything sort of can be misunderstood, right? Um, so when I say don't take life seriously, of course, all the self-helpists are going to come out, oh well, life is play, and yet, okay, well, life is play, then why are you crying half the time? Then life don't give me garbage, okay? Don't give me garbage. Don't give me these bumper stickers, okay? So like if someone's life truly is play and they're joyful all the time and they're in bliss, great, yeah, then life is play for that guy, and that's wonderful. He must have found something, and he probably found truth. But don't sell me headlines, okay? Um, so humans don't take life serious. Life is serious. Life assaults. Life gives you pain, and it's not like life doesn't give you like a little scratch that tickles. Life stabs you in the heart, right? People fail and suffer. And I mean, these are deep things. This is not, these are not little, you know, little paper cuts. I mean, and so if life, whether it's through the, relationship or through one's success in career and through money or through, uh, whatever, just emotion or whatever it is, there's so many assaults and blindsidedness, being blindsided, and unexpected things come up that are torturous and disappointing. I mean, um, that's serious business. And so if you bring nonsense to combat seriousness, you think life's going to back down and say, oh, well, since you bring nonsense, I guess I'll back off and I won't, you know, I'll take it easy on you. Life doesn't give a damn, right? Life doesn't give a damn about you. Life or nature doesn't give a damn about me. I could die tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock, and life wouldn't look my way. It doesn't give 2 cents. And so when you're dealing with that, you better have some powerful weapons on your side. Because if you're going to bring your little self-help book on the bestseller list, you deserve to be slapped because you're not prepared. And you're not prepared because you listen to all the garbage out there, selling you this nonsense. Life is serious business. There's blood on the floor. It's a war. You're hemorrhaging. And if you weren't, you wouldn't be asking me all these questions, right? I'm sorrowful and I'm sad and I'm this and that. And of course, those are the shrapnel of life. And so since life is that way, and it's that way because your own life is, tells you that, then you better have truth on your side because that's the only possibility you have. Otherwise, that's fine. Otherwise you can just try to weather every storm for your whole life, and it's just one storm after another, with an occasional um with an occasional, you know, relief, right? And then another storm, and another storm, and a tornado, then a hurricane, and a tsunami. It's never going to stop. And since life's not going to stop, if you don't devote yourself to truth, if for nothing else, for protection, if for no other reason than protection, because you're smart, because you're wise, that you know that you're dealing with a nuclear war on the other side, and you have a slingshot in your hand. So human beings need to get serious. And the reason for that is not because I say, because life says. Life isn't going to leave them alone. They're not going to hide from life. And since life isn't going to leave them alone, they have no choice but to get serious. They're going to keep drinking their alcohol, having their nonsense conversations in their bars and socializing and laughing away at their garbage while life is stabbing him in the back and punching him in the face, and so is betraying them, and so is disappointing them, and then some failure comes, and then anxiety is rocking them day and night. I mean, get serious. Wake up. Like, stop, with the nonsense. This is why people are not respectable. They're not serious. It's like someone who wants to become a professional in something and they watch TV all day. It's what everyone's doing. Everyone's watching. They may work hard in their profession, but when it comes to their own life, they're watching TV essentially. Because reading bestseller books and listening to the latest hack for the social media influencer, you're just watching TV.